Yeah. It's your boy Joe Snow, and we back at it. Thank y'all for joining me on this fantastic Friday. That's right, I said fantastic as in them Dolphins. But anyway, look, check it out, man. Thank y'all for tuning in to the Joe Snow Sports Podcast, where every week we cut through the noise and break down the games, the plays, and the stories that really matter. So I missed y'all for a few weeks, the past 2 weeks, due to some family emergencies that occurred, but all is well. Thanks for all the prayers, and folks that reached out. So, family and friends, I appreciate y'all. But we back at it. So, this past week, man, it gave us everything. In the NFL, the 49ers last night showed some grit with the gutsy overtime road win against the Rams, providing depth and belief that you can carry that deep into the season. We'll touch base on that. And then in college football last week, Ole Miss planted its flag with a statement win over LSU, while Alabama snapped Georgia's 33-game home streak in a heavyweight SEC showdown. And man, there is some real tension over there in the WNBA. Napheesa Collier didn't just finish her season; she lit a fire up under the league with her blunt exit interview, calling out leadership and sparking up a conversation that could shape the future of women's basketball. So, from the field to the court, to the scoreboard, to the headlines, it's all here. Let's get into it, y'all. All right, y'all. I know we got a lot to talk about as far as what's on the field, but before we get into the field, let's talk about the court. All right. So, honestly, one of the biggest stories of sports this week, WNBA star Napheesa Collier, she just didn't just play her season out. She used her exit interview as a platform to call out the WNBA itself. And she didn't hold back. She was real with what she said and everything that she said. So, from questioning the league's leadership to saying that the WNBA has, quote, the worst leadership in the world, Collier's comments weren't just post-game frustration. They were a direct challenge to the direction of the league. This wasn't just about the box score. It was about power, accountability, and the future of women's basketball. So, let's pretty much talk about this and break this down into what Napheesa was basically saying. And in fact, for those that didn't get to see, I would like to share with y'all what she said exactly. Let's see if we can play this clip.
We're taking any questions? All right. So first of all, I'd like to congratulate the Mercury for advancing to the finals. And I want to be clear, this conversation is not about winning or losing. It's about something much bigger. The real threat to our league isn't money, it isn't ratings, or even missed calls, or even physical play. It's the lack of accountability from the league office. Since I've been in the league, you've heard the constant concerns about officiating, and it has now reached levels of inconsistency that plague our sport and undermine the integrity in which it operates. Whether the league cares about the health of the players is one thing, but to also not care about the product we put on the floor is truly self-sabotage. Year after year, the only thing that remains consistent is the lack of accountability from our leaders. Sorry, I had to walk here in my boot. I'm kind of... The league has a buzzword that they've rolled out as talking points for the CBA as to why they can't pay the players what we're worth. That word is sustainability. But what's truly unsustainable is keeping a good product on the floor while allowing officials to lose control of games. Fans see it every night. Coaches, both winning and losing, point it out every night in pregame and postgame media. Yet leadership just issues fines and looks the other way. They ignore the issues that everyone inside the game is begging to be fixed. That is negligence. At Unrivaled this past February, I sat across from Kathy and asked how she planned to address the officiating issues in our league. Her response was, well, only the losers complain about the refs. I also asked how she planned to fix the fact that players like Caitlin, Angel, and Paige, who are clearly driving massive revenue for the league, are making so little for their first 4 years. Her response was, Caitlin should be grateful she makes $16 million off the court, because without the platform that the WNBA, she wouldn't make anything. And in that same conversation, she told me players should be on their knees thanking their lucky stars for the media rights deal that I got them. That's mentality driving our league from the top. We battle every day to protect people that doesn't value us. The league believes it succeeds despite its players, not because of them. I have the privilege of watching my husband run a league where he has to balance 100 different things at once. I won't pretend that it's easy. And with all of that on his plate, he always takes the time to reach out to players when he sees an injury. Whether it's unrivaled or even during the WNBA season. That is what leadership, the bare minimum, any leader should embody. This year alone, I've gotten calls, texts, and well wishes from so many players across the league. Those moments remind me that sometimes there are things bigger than the results than the game we play. But do you know who I haven't heard? Instead, the only outreach has come from her number 2 telling my agent that she doesn't believe play is contributing to injuries. That is infuriating, and it's the tone-deaf, dismissive approach that our leaders always seem to take. I've finally grown tired. For too long, I have tried to have these conversations in private, but it's clear there is no intention of accepting there's a problem. The league has made it clear it isn't about innovation, it isn't about collaboration, it's about control and power. I've earned this platform and I've paid the price to get here, and now I have a responsibility to speak on behalf of the fans and everyone in this league that deserves better. Our leadership's answer to being held accountable is suppress everyone's voices by handing out fines. I'm not concerned about a fine. I'm concerned over our sport. At some point, everyone deserves to hear the truth from someone who I hope has earned the end for what is right and fair for our athletes and our fans in the world. We have the best fans in the world. But right now, we have the worst leadership in the world. If I didn't know exactly what the job entailed, maybe I wouldn't feel this way. But unfortunately, I do. We serve a league that has shown they think championship coaching is professional sports. But I will not stand quietly by and allow different standards to be applied at the league level. Thank you.
Napheesa, do you still read that statement if we're celebrating a championship in 2 weeks?
Yes. Again, I want to be clear. This is not about winning and losing. People, coaches, winning and losing, are complaining about these same things. And again, the league talks about sustainability. This is product on the floor night after night when it's so inconsistent and people are getting hurt left and right.
So, first of all, I applaud Napheesa Collier for her exit interview and what she said. Basically, man, Napheesa Collier is calling for accountability, and that's one of the best abilities to have is accountability. Now, the commissioner, Caitlin Engelbert. Now, since Kathy Engelbert. Now, since Kathy Engelbert has been the commissioner of the WNBA, she has said that the WNBA is make sure I got this word right, existential moment. Now, I had to look that word up, which means it refers to significant experience that prompts deep reflection on one's existence. That's exactly what it means. Now, in 2020, she said if they didn't play a bubble season, would the league still exist? Now it's 5 years later. A lot has changed since then. Just look, at the recent years. So a $50 million dollar expansion fee for the Golden State Valkyries, okay, in September of 2023. That was $250 million this summer, okay. And I mean, that's crazy growth. The New York Liberty, a 450 million 450 million valuation this summer. That's all under, Kathy Engelbert's watch, y'all. So, but I think the main thing here that Napheesa Collier is saying that the players are really driving that, when you really look at it. I think these comments that Napheesa said is, only going to basically bring more fuel to the fire. So one of the things I had the opportunity to do was a persuasive essay, a college, as I'm in school part time, but a persuasive essay. And my my topic and what I wanted to do, and since I'm majoring in sports management, and again I go to school part time, was the pay disparity for women in the WNBA. And as you can read on my shirt, women's sports is big business. These women go out there and work hard just as well as the players in the NBA. And this isn't pertains just to women and the WNBA. I'm talking about women across the board and all sports and profession, man. So I don't like the pay disparity there, but I got the opportunity to do, like I said, a college essay, a persuasive essay, and my topic was the pay disparity in the WNBA. And as I was doing some research, so Caitlin Clark's salary for the WNBA salary is $78,000. Yes, she can make all that money off the court, but should Caitlin Clark be grateful that she makes $16 million off the court? According to the commissioner, through Napheesa Collier on what she said, So where do they go from here? I know the league and the players are in this contentious, CBA negotiation. I read that this deal expires October the 31st, so this month. So we will see if they can reach an extension, or if there's a work stoppage, or whether it's in the off season or down the line of May 2026 when the new season began for the WNBA. I do think that tensions have only heightened from here. How could they not know what Napheesa Collier said, what she said, and knowing that so many players have supported her, knowing that there are so many eyes on the WNBA. So I think this was just a remarkable comment that Napheesa had said. And here's the other thing too, when I was reading about the pay disparity and doing my research. So I know the WNBA signed a 11-year deal worth $2 billion TV deal. So, I see the progress, but what makes the WNBA so unique is that it is also owned by the NBA. So Kathy Engelbert, her boss, she reports to Adam Silver. And I also learned this in the sports business class when I went there back in July. So there are a lot of stakeholders when it comes down to the WNBA and its owner. So who's also important, right, in this own conversation. So it's not just what do the owners of the WNBA think, because even that phrase, owners of the WNBA, it's a really muddled phrase, right? So you have the numbers of franchise that are owned by the same people that also own NBA teams. And then when I broke down some math, and I was looking it up, 42% of the league is owned by the NBA, for instance. Then 42% is owned by the WNBA owners. But in that 40%, well, there are some people who are in both pots. And then there's another pot that also includes some people who are in both of those pots. So that's basically what makes up the WNBA situation, about how they basically proceed, whether it relates to Kathy Engelbert and her job status, or whether it relates to the CBA. This is what makes things so tricky. It's so many stakeholders and the conversations that make it, complicated. again, I applaud Napheesa Collier for what she said. They definitely got a lot to discuss in that CBA. What ways do you continue to incentivize, at the level at where they're at, and be kept at the level. And that goes what broadcast and PR and referees are officiating. You may see the official, coaching or officiating a WNBA game, and then a year or two later, that guy's officiating in the NBA. And this is some of their best officials in the WNBA. So, but they're going to go where the money is at, and the money is in the NBA. So they have a lot to address in that CBA, man, and ways that they can incentivize, at the level that they're at. But I think, again, what Napheesa Collier is saying, that, players are concerned with, player safety, injuries, and officiating has been under scrutiny all season. So, we'll see if they're able to, kind of get that corrected, or just kind of, I'm curious to see what Commissioner Adam Silva and his staff thinks about everything, and just kind of go from there, man. So I applaud Napheesa for what she said. Okay, now let's kick it off with last night's showdown in Inglewood. San Francisco 49ers. Man, they came out steaming against the Rams, 26-23 in an overtime win last night. A clutch victory sealed by a 41-yard field goal and a game-saving stop in 4th and 1 from LA's own 11. Backup quarterback Mac Jones was spot on last night. He did just a tremendous job on what he's done and stepping in for Brock Purdy. On the other side of things, what's his name? Matt Stafford passed for 389 yards and 3 touchdowns. Had a tremendous game, but a costly fumble near the goal line and a failed 4th down attempt cost the Rams that game. So it was a great game last night. As I was tuning in and watching it, we applaud to both teams. And let me be, this is just one of those rivalry games that there's in the Rams. Always a good matchup. But my thing is this, because Stafford played good. Again, Mac Jones played well. If you really dive into it, the 49ers and how they pulled this win off, in my personal opinion. So Mac Jones, he showed some grit last night, and that's what you want. That's what you want, especially in a backup quarterback. Stepping in for Purdy, Matt completed 33 of 49 passes for 342 yards and 2 touchdowns with no interceptions. So he kept his composure. He spread the ball. And, oh, my gosh, if you got Kendrick Bourne on your fantasy football roster, he had a career day with 10 catches and 142 yards. So they held it down, man. They did awesome. And then McCaffrey, he can still go downhill. He had 1 touchdown and 139 yards to keep the offense balanced. The Niners defense made the stops when it counted. In overtime, Kyron Williams was stopped on 4th and 1 from the 11, and that pretty much sealed it. That play sealed it. In regulation, with the Rams knocking on the door, Alfred Collins forced a fumble near the goal line. So special teams and field goals held up. Eddie Pinero had 4 field goals, including the 59-yarder in regulation. What's cool about the Niners too, man, they just had a real good clutch mindset. They had situational discipline. That's what Kyle Shanahan does, man. San Francisco, they converted multiple fourth and shorts attempts earlier in the game. They continue to extend their drives, maintain possession, and control the tempo they deliver. So this is why you go back and you go get Robert Saleh as your defensive coach, defensive coordinator. So they held their own, man. They had a great game. So my biggest statement win this week was Ole Miss and them jumping into the rankings. Man, they did their thing. They did their thing. So let's see. I'm gonna Ole Miss. So why is this a big statement win for Ole Miss? So first of all, LSU came in ranked. Lane Kiffin has been criticized in the past just for coming up short in prove-it games. So Ole Miss, they had a balanced offense and defense, won the yardage battle big, controlled third downs, and forced LSU to be a one-dimensional team. Also, the fourth down conversions late in the game shows not just talent but nerves. That's what statement wins are made of. So I'm a big fan of Lane Kiffin, and I even think years ago he would have been in the playoffs, but because they had the top four teams, he could never climb in there. But with college football and them expanding to 12 teams to get in the playoffs now, he got a shot. Now, last year, I felt like they should have been in there. They had that big win over Georgia, I believe, and then they lost it to Kentucky. I believe that was last year. So I personally think that they are emerging into a legitimate college football playoff contender, and they're looking really balanced on both sides of the ball, and I love it. One that is a bit concerning to me is Georgia, unfortunately. So lost to Alabama. The quarterback for Alabama, Ty Simpson, had 276 yards for 2 touchdowns, completed 24 of 38 of his passes. In the post, Saban area, wins like this on the road against a top 5 opponent, and breaking a home streak, that really helps the identity of Alabama, in my personal opinion. I think with Georgia, this game and losing at home, the fact that Georgia gave up early, couldn't, recover. I don't know. This just raises a lot of questions about their composure, their depth, adjustments, and that was late in the game. So, and not kicking that field goal. Also for Georgia, this loss tightens the margin for error in the SEC, in the playoff race. So for Alabama, this builds confidence. So Georgia will be facing Kentucky this Saturday, and then Alabama, they got to be careful because they was kind of in the same situation last year where they had a big game they won. Bama, they beat Georgia, I think, last year, and then they played Vanderbilt last year, and then they right after they beat Georgia, and they lost that game. So it's looking like the same scenario setup, except Vanderbilt is a lot better this year. So we'll kind of see what happens from there. And then also Virginia pulling off a double overtime win versus Florida State to break into the top 25 for the first time. This is going to be crucial game this Saturday because let me shout out to Virginia. Virginia did a hell of a job. They did great. They came to ball. Now, they are a scary black horse, in my personal opinion. They are a scary black horse. So I would be careful with teams at the top that go play Virginia. It's not just going to be easy as you thought. As far as Florida State, um, Miami got them on Saturday night game. So got them in Tallahassee. I think this is going to be a big game. Miami, y'all need this game. I think for Florida State, this is their last opportunity to prove to the committee that they can, go out there and get a big win against a ranked team. So this is going to be really, really interesting. Now let's get into NFL. The Miami Dolphins secured their first win last week. First win of the season, beating the Jets 27-21. And I thought that Tua played decent. Unfortunately, my heart goes out to Tyreek Hill with the injury that he has had. So my thoughts and prayers go out to Tyreek Hill. And I pray that all works out and that he's able to return this season. But these are some highlights of Darren Waller and how he stepped up for the Fins this past Sunday. I'm sorry, Monday night game. I mean, he was really on point. He was on point. And man, look, I had to do it. I had to represent Fan Nation. Yeah, baby. Yeah. Now, for all y'all that talking about me about my little one win, okay, y'all teams got 2 wins and 3 wins and 4 wins. Some of y'all teams undefeated. Let me just get my 1 win. Can I just get my 1 win and celebrate? Can I just get my 1 win and celebrate? You know what I mean? I don't need all that. You got your 1 win. I don't need all that. Man, funny story. I come home, I'm wearing my jersey and my hat. My wife had the nerve to say, somebody team got the 1 win and don't know how to act. I said, man, I don't need all that. I don't need you doing all that. You sounded like them right now. And she a Falcons fan. And your team got what, a couple wins. I mean, can I have my 1 win and just kind of celebrate? Jeez. But anyway, man, Darren Waller, he had a hell of a game. Congrats to him for returning from retirement. Caught 2 touchdown passes in the same game. Really stepped up, and especially stepped up with Tyreek Hill's, with him being injured and out. They're going to be really leaning. The Fins will be definitely leaning on him this year. So shout out to Darren Waller, man. Welcome back to the league. I hope that you can keep the momentum going. I really, truly think he can be that voice in the locker room because they need it down there, man. They need it. So it's going to be interesting moving forward to kind of see what the Fins do moving forward. Well, look, yo, this wraps up our week. I'll be tuning in for more NFL and college this week and everything. It's going to be some big games on Saturday. Going to be big games on Sunday and Monday. So we'll be back with y'all next week. Thank y'all for tuning in to the Joe Snow Sports Podcast. I'll get at y'all later on.